Did you know that nearly 5 million people could be forced to leave Canada by 2025? Sounds crazy, right? But it's happening. Canada's immigration system is undergoing massive changes that could affect millions of workers, students, and their families, many of whom have built their lives here. Imagine you're one of the 1.6 million Indians in Canada, many of whom are skilled workers like engineers, IT professionals, and healthcare providers. You have worked hard to build a life here, but now the government is slashing the number of foreign workers allowed to stay. It's not just about losing your job. It could mean leaving the country unless you find a way to stay permanently. But there's a twist. These changes are being presented as a solution to Canada's housing, healthcare, and infrastructure problems. However, they could throw millions into uncertainty. In this video, we are breaking down everything you need to know about the new immigration rules and how they could impact your plans for staying in Canada. Why these changes are happening? You might be wondering, why are these changes happening? It may seem sudden or harsh, but there's a reason behind it. Canada has long been a go-to destination for immigrants, particularly skilled workers, international students, and families seeking better opportunities. For years, immigration has been a major contributor to the country's economic growth. However, things are changing. The rapid pace of immigration is putting huge pressure on Canada's infrastructure and public services. Take the housing crisis, for example. With more people coming in each year, there simply aren't enough homes to accommodate everyone, especially in cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. Home prices and rents have soared, making it harder for many Canadians and immigrants to afford a place to live. On top of that, healthcare is under strain. Long wait times, overburdened hospitals, and shortages of healthcare professionals are causing problems for everyone. The growing number of immigrants relying on the healthcare system is adding to the pressure. Then, there's infrastructure. Public transportation, road networks, and social services are all struggling to keep up with Canada's population boom. The government is trying to balance the benefits of immigration with these growing challenges, which is why they've decided to slow down the flow of temporary workers and international students. Impact on temporary work permits. One of the biggest changes will be the impact on temporary work permits. Nearly 5 million temporary permits are set to expire by 2025, and for many, the solution will either be renewing the permit or transitioning to permanent residency. But here is the problem. Not everyone will be able to do that. The new rules are designed to reduce the number of temporary foreign workers allowed to stay in Canada. This means that workers on short-term contracts or in roles heavily dependent on visa renewals may face tougher times ahead. The immigration system is being streamlined, and with fewer spots for temporary workers, competition will be fiercer than ever. Even if you are eligible to renew your permit, it's not going to be as easy as it used to be. The government is tightening the rules, making it more challenging for workers to stay long-term without transitioning to permanent residency. But securing permanent residency is going to be tougher too. Challenges for international students. International students in Canada are also facing uncertainty. Over 760,000 study permits are set to expire by 2025. Many students come to Canada hoping to study, work, and eventually settle here. But with these new rules, that plan is much more complicated. The usual route for many students after graduation is to apply for a post-graduation work permit. However, with fewer work permits being issued due to the overall reduction in foreign workers, the competition is going to heat up. There will be fewer opportunities for students to transition into the workforce after graduation. On top of that, some students may face delays or even denials when applying to renew their permits. This uncertainty can be incredibly frustrating, especially for those who've spent years building their careers in Canada, only to find themselves stuck in an increasingly difficult process. The impact of these changes goes beyond students themselves. Universities and colleges across Canada, which rely on international student enrollment, could also face disruptions. This could have ripple effects on Canada's economy, especially in sectors like technology, healthcare, and engineering that depend on skilled workers. Impact of the immigration targets. Canada's revised immigration targets are set to change the landscape dramatically. For years, Canada's been known for its welcoming approach to immigrants, with large annual quotas aimed at boosting the workforce and population. But the new rules? They are scaling back those numbers. The target for permanent residents is set to drop by 21%, from 500,000 to 395,000 by 2025. Fewer spots for permanent residency means longer wait times, more competition, and more challenges for people hoping to settle in Canada. The government is also reducing the number of temporary foreign workers and international students allowed into the country. Work permits could drop by 40%, and the number of international students could decrease by 10% by 2026. The goal is to alleviate the pressure on Canada, housing, healthcare, and infrastructure. But this reduction in immigration also means fewer opportunities for those looking to build a future in Canada. The Indian community's unique struggles. The changes are particularly challenging for the Indian community in Canada, one of the largest immigrant populations. With over 1.6 million Indians living in Canada, many of whom are employed as engineers, IT professionals, healthcare workers, and students, these new rules create unique problems. A large portion of the Indian community in Canada works under temporary permits, which are being cut back significantly. The 40% reduction in temporary work permits will make it much harder for Indian workers, especially in skilled sectors, to renew their permits. Those hoping to transition to permanent residency may face delays or complications due to fewer available spots. Indian students, many of whom came to Canada with hopes of staying after graduation, will also find it harder to secure post-graduation work permits, with fewer being issued. This will limit opportunities for students to stay and work after completing their studies. Additionally, many Indian workers rely on temporary visas to support family members back home. With tighter restrictions and fewer work permits available, these workers may face added financial pressures and delays in sponsoring family members for permanent residency. What does this mean for you? So what does all of this mean for you? Whether you are already living in Canada on a temporary work or study permit, or planning to move there in the future, these changes are going to impact your journey. If you are currently in Canada on a temporary permit, the clock is ticking. With 5 million permits set to expire by 2025, if you want to stay long-term, you will need to act fast. You will either need to transition to permanent residency or renew your permit. But, as we have discussed, securing permanent residency is getting harder, and the process will take longer. For international students, fewer study permits and tighter rules around post-graduation work permits mean it will be harder to transition from a student visa to a work visa. You will need to stay on top of the latest updates to ensure your transition goes smoothly. These changes represent a major shift in Canada's immigration landscape. Timing will be critical, and staying informed is essential. If you want to stay in Canada long-term, you need to plan ahead. And that's a wrap for today's video. What do you think about these changes? How will they affect you or someone you know? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to check out our previous videos for more insights. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support means a lot to us. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.